I met Aidan thanks to Jack, the creator of Smart Talk, an English school in Santiago de Chile. After years of taking English courses, good, in general, very good courses, I realized that the biggest breakthrough is when you go to a real life, okay? When you have this moment that you need to use your communication. Okay, so I remember a moment with a boyfriend that I had in university once told me start with pronunciation, learn the syllables, the sound, that did change everything. Okay, even though I studied hard and even worked in English for years, I remember a point in my life where I could talk about business, but completely froze in casual conversations. I didn't know how to say, how to introduce myself, how to talk about myself, or even how to keep a natural conversation because I was like, always I was like, I don't know how to continue. So that's when I told Jack, I need someone to talk. Okay. I need a native speaker, not structured classes, just real talk. And that's how Aidan came to my life. We started meetings once or twice a month. We go to cafes, parks, online meetings, no textbooks, no grammar drills, just life, okay? And when Aidan once tried to give me a formal lesson, I remember something like, no, forget about that, maintain this in a real life, and this is the way. I know, Aidan, you speak Spanish, but don't ever speak to me in Spanish, okay? So, thanks to that conversation, I lost the fear, okay? I found more freedom, more English, zero shame. There is still something that sometimes there are some things that I need to improve, obviously, this is the life, but there is something that I connect with Aidan in this process, that is that you can enjoy learning, you can enjoy teaching, and he loves the traveling. He likes teaching English and other people that wants to do it, right? So he helped me a lot with my dream in that moment, that was speaking English. Okay, so, welcome to this episode. This is the episode 4 in our season 2 in my podcast Paz Interior, Éxito Exterior on Spotify. The Mente Ágil here in YouTube. This is the second episode that we have in English, so that you can share in my channel. Okay. So I'm Julie. My purpose is to help you connect with your well-being and your personal and professional goals. I think that we have one life, and this is not divided between personal and professional. You have only one life, okay? So this is the most important. And I think that when we align what we do with who we truly are, everything flows. This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Imprime Ahora, a printing company specializing in high quality products like manuals, flyers, stickers, brochures, and anything that you need as a client. And don't forget that you can buy my guide, El arte de alcanzar mis metas. You can buy in my website, and I will be very, very happy that you use this, because this will help you to create goals, and goals that are relevant for you, that are very important for you. And this is not only for this year, this is for the rest of your life. Okay, so here we have finally Aidan. How are you, Aidan?
I am doing well. How are you? Thanks for
All
having me.
good. Yeah, I'm very happy to see you.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's weird. I'm used to meeting online, but not half a world away.
Okay, Aidan. I was sharing our um, history. Okay, how we met some years ago.
Mhm.
But before to start this conversation, because you know that I have a lot of questions to do it with you, I want to share your life, right? You graduate in university in 2020, right? You obviously, well, not obviously, I don't know if people know, but you are from United States, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And now you are living in Hanoi, Vietnam, right?
Yes.
Okay, we know you. We start this friendship in Chile, but you started your traveling like South Korea, Chile, and finally you are in Vietnam, right? I think that you love travel and living your life in your terms, right? This is something that we will discuss in some moments.
Mhm.
You like to find work, housing, community, and enjoy the traveling. Okay, so this is something that I think many people want to know about that currently, because I think today people want to connect well-being, travel, and language in general to have a better life. Okay,
Yeah.
so just to start,
Mhm.
there is something that I remember when I met you, because you are more younger. Yeah, so what kind of conversation did your family have when you were growing that helped your set, or you have this mindset to live your life in your terms?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I'm lucky to come from a family that has always had a lot of like positive reinforcement. They allowed me to spread my wings, like whatever I want to do. They're very supportive. Um, Even if they have doubts, I
Mhm.
think that we have a good relationship and we can talk uh, transparently about those, like any concerns they would have. But I think they just want me to be happy and live my best life. And if they hear a 22-year-old say that he wants to go out and travel, I think um, they are very supportive. But they've always just been very supportive of really anything I do. So I'm lucky. That's not. I don't think anyone in the world can say that. So I would say it just started young. Um, yeah, always had kind of a free mindset.
Yeah, this is very important, because, for example, in my family, was not the concept about be happy, was more than be responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is associated to study, and have a professional way in your life. So this is something very important. Okay, we are not
Hmm.
talking about that you don't need to study, but it's like I don't remember that conversation in my when I was growing. Like, you have to be happy, Yuli.
Yeah.
You remember
Oh,
that?
yeah. Yeah. Totally. And it's like I'm lucky. I think that a lot of people. I think another thing was like growing up. I did have family who had traveled, so I was
Mhm.
exposed to that. Um, and it being okay. I think a lot of people who live in the US, especially those who don't leave, think that the outside world is a very scary, dangerous place. And
Okay.
I have found that actually the US is dangerous. And other places are,
Yeah.
uh, actually not as dangerous as we might think. Yeah.
Well, South
And I think
America
when
is
there's I think
dangerous.
when there's language barriers and there's places you maybe haven't been exposed to, it's
Mhm.
easy to like feel fear um, in that unknown. But I think that if you can kind of embrace it and stack a few experiences that go well, then you can gain a lot of confidence traveling.
Yeah, and I have to connect that because it's my example life. When I was a girl, my parents don't travel. Okay,
Hmm.
so I was like, maybe in my head was like, it's not something that happen every day in my life, right? So I don't have that dynamic. I'm not exposed to travel. Yeah, and this is different when you grow. Now I have that mindset, okay, and I don't have fear to travel, and but this is something very important that we have to share. I think that currently parents and families, whatever, they expose the children to travel, to have this. I want to know the world. There is not only my house and only my country, only my culture. There are
Yes.
more.
Yeah, and also, teens, young adults are seeing that every day on their phone. They're seeing pictures of other countries. They're seeing interviews. We wouldn't have been able to have this conversation like X amount of years ago. So I think that there's more exposure to the outside world, and with that, um, I like there's less of this unknown two-footed jump into this weird unknown place where they speak a different language. I think we just live in a totally different time now. I believe that this is the easiest time as ever to travel because if I want to talk to my parents, I can just call them. It's not like a letter through the mail and all these things. It's pretty crazy to think that like I had, parents who lived abroad. My dad lived in Mexico for a bit. My mom lived in Brazil. And in order for them to contact home, it was not as easy as this. So it's not easy, but it's as easy as it's ever been.
Yeah, totally. Well, we are in a lot of different times, so we are connecting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Aidan, when did you realize what you wanted to study, and what motivate you to choose the path?
Yeah. So a bunch of kind of weird dynamics kind of came together to answer this question. So basically, I had planned on being a lawyer. I wanted to go to law school and be a lawyer. Thought it was something I'd be good at, something I thought that I wanted. And the more I thought about it, I just kind of realized that for me, not for everyone, but for me, it was just kind of a title. It was something that like I thought that, when I tell people, yeah, I'm going to go to law school, people aren't like, ah, really? They're like, wow, like nice. It's like a respectable thing
Mm-hmm.
in this capitalistic world we live in to think. Um, so when I took my law school entrance exam, my scores were valid for 5 years. So I was like, all right, took my test, but if I want to go to law school in 4 years or 5 years, I still can because my scores are good for that amount of time. So I was like, all right, well, this is the time to travel. So I literally typed into Google, like, how to travel affordably. Like, um, two things came up. One, tour guide somewhere else. And two, teaching English. And I was like, teaching English. Like, hadn't really ever heard of that, but I'm kind of intrigued. Did more research. Then my last semester of college, I ended up taking a TEFL course, which
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about more later. But basically, it was like an 11-week online course, didn't take any more than 2 hours a week, um, where you work towards this certificate that is basically just your ticket to travel. Like a TEFL certificate is proof that you have undergone a certain amount of training and can then teach overseas in like an ESL, English as a second language format.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my plan. I was going to go to Spain for like a year or two and then go to law school. Then COVID hit
Okay.
right when I graduated and couldn't go to Spain anymore. Couldn't like go the places that I had planned on going. So I had to adapt. And the organization that I got my certificate from is called International TEFL Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're fantastic. Like they have counselors that for free. I mean, it's included in the price, I guess. Like basically assist you with job placement and review contracts and just are just like such a nice kind of comfort to talk to throughout the daunting process of like finding a job overseas and moving overseas. So because my options were so limited because of the pandemic, I basically decided on Korea, or at least this counselor and I decided on Korea. It seemed like a good place where I could save money at a young age, which, you know, is appealing coming out of college. But also it was just like a new place, and I didn't really think too much about it, to be honest. Actually, my first job offer that kind of came in was not in Seoul or Busan, like the places that I'd heard about, big cities. It was like in a smaller town called Daejeon. And I basically just said yes immediately because the world was shut down. I didn't know when the next opportunity was going to come. So I was like, sounds good. Learned a little bit about the job, and I was like, I'm down. Worst case scenario is I don't like it and I, you know, come home or whatever. I didn't really think too much about what could go wrong. That's probably a long answer to your question.
Yeah, no. It's not too much. It's like there are some points that I have to mention, because is there something like curious? Okay, curious. You was like, okay, what can I do? Okay, you was checking information. This is very important, because there are people that wants to do some things but they don't know how to review information. Sometimes I think that today people wants to do things but don't know how to check the information, and it's like, how you can connect the things that you want to do if you don't check information, if you don't ask questions. You know, you have to do it that. And you were thinking like, okay, how can travel with something that I can do it and can pay to me to do it that. Yeah, and was like, okay, teaching can help. Okay, but you it's not only about teaching. You have to have some skills, you know, because for example, I speak Spanish, but if we check how to learn or how to choose teaching Spanish, it's not that easy, right? So I have to have the skills to do it, be responsible for that. You was doing that. And another point that you mentioned is about the money. I need money to do
Yeah.
it. I need money to do it. And there is something that I always has to mention, because you are younger. So how you were thinking in that? There is a partner. There is your mom, your dad. Who create that in you?
Like the wanting to earn money.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it wasn't a huge priority. I was content to going to Spain and
Mm-hmm.
breaking even, so like not saving anything and just doing it for the experiences. But when I was choosing between my limited options, one of the pull factors of Korea was, wow, I get free housing. I get a free flight to Korea. Free health, and I mean, maybe I can't remember the contract exactly, but
Yeah.
damn near free health insurance. Just a lot of support, and it was surprising at the time. It was almost like too good to be true. So I did have to ask a bunch of follow-up questions. But yeah, one thing that you mentioned on the reading information, I think, yes, definitely good to know the like the context of whatever job market you're entering. Cultural standards like language, religion, all these things are totally good to be aware of. At the same time, I would say don't live and die by information you read online. A lot of the people that have had the best experiences don't have any reason to post anything online, but the people who have the worst experiences will share their horror stories. So just take everything with a grain of salt. If I had listened to everything that I read about Korea and the ESL industry in Korea, there would have been plenty of valid reasons for me not to go, but just kind of took it in stride.
Yeah, this is important, because you was mentioned like people in United States can think that go outside can be danger, right? People in South America believe in the danger, right? So why Latin America? Why you was in Latin America? How you select that?
Yeah, so just for those who don't know, basically just a quick timeline was went to South Korea during COVID, moved back home, saved some money, did like a backpacking trip in Southeast Asia with the money that I saved, kind of more thinking about today, not thinking about tomorrow. Then came home and was ready to try something new. The South Korea, like my work experience there was great, but it was like a bit intense, and it was probably partly because of COVID and partly for other reasons. But I wanted something more chill and something a little bit more on my terms. So when I thought about Latin America, I would say that a key to me choosing there was that I didn't initially say, like, I want to go to Latin America. Instead, I was working backwards. So I was thinking, okay, like, what do I want my days to look like? Like, regardless of location, like, what do I want my days to look like? Okay, I want to try new food. I want to go on walks in new neighborhoods. I want to talk to people that are different than me. I want to play football with strangers. And I want to live somewhere that has access to nature. It's like maybe a few hours away. That was basically my set of standards. And so I thought about that, and I think with COVID and how little we knew about it at the time, like Chile had a good, health infrastructure. So that was attractive to Chile. It was, and then, strong economy, and you can make, the local currency is strong. And so like that kind of ticked some boxes initially. And then I was like, all right, this is actually kind of aligning with the days that I want to have. I can see myself being happy there. I'd imagine they play football. I know they speak Spanish. Patagonia is right on their doorstep. Like, that's about it.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned something that I like. It's like what I want to do there. It's like what I want to. So many things that you want to do in that place, so you can select that place and you can enjoy it. Because if you go a place that you don't want, you don't know, so you will feel bad. It's soon that you will feel bad because you are there because other say to you, hey, go here, So if we think that I have to select this place because I want to stay some time here, so will be better. So you was very clear, like I want to play soccer, want to connect with new people, try the food, right? So with that you say okay, and after you say how, what and how. And this is something that always I mention to people when wants to achieve a particular goal. Okay. You mentioned other point that is strong economy, and I want to say we are not economy people, but obviously we have to check about that. And this was the reason that you select Chile. And I have to say that you can speak in Spanish. Yeah, so can you speak in Spanish?
Nipa.
Simple. This is the Chilean language that
no one, it does not sound like Spanish. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell me about how was that the first connection with Chilean people and with Latin American people? Because, for example, me, I'm from Venezuela. Here you have Peruvian, Ecuadorian. There are a lot of Latin American people here in Chile. So, how was that first moment?
Man, just I would say a blow to the confidence. Like, I've heard of other travelers who've gone to like Colombia, Mexico, felt great about their Spanish. They can understand others. Others can understand them. Chile, and I also previously lived in Argentina, and both of those places, the Spanish is a bit harder. Just like little nuances of the language that are different. So I was shocked at how like low my level was initially, but it's all relative. Just because Chilean Spanish is just tough. It's fast. There's a lot of slang. I mean, you know better than me. But it was a bit discouraging at the start, but I knew that it was the worst it was going to be. It's only going to get better. The more that I put myself out there, the more people I meet. And I lived in a hostel right when I got to Chile, for about 2 months. So living in a hostel in Chile, you meet a lot of, people around. So from Brazil and Colombia,
Yeah.
Peru, all the neighboring countries. Most people could speak Spanish, so it was great practice alongside being with Europeans who were also wanting to speak English and maybe didn't speak that much Spanish themselves. So it was a great balance at the start.
Yeah, and I have to say that I feel that you have a, a great energy, So I think that you are from Latin America too. I have to say that because for you and me was like in the beginning was like okay, I didn't know how to speak, but or not to speak but maintain the conversation.
Yeah.
But we was feeling like confident. I was in it very was very soon. I feel that was very soon our confidence together to speak, and this is something amazing. Aidan, what do you love about teach English?
I mean, what don't I love about teaching English? It is like, well, first of all, just for visa reasons, it's literally like a job in another country. I think a lot of people, when they think about living abroad, they're like, well, I would need to find a job though to make that happen. And the great thing about teaching English, and the lucky thing, is that a lot of the world is trying to learn English. We don't think of that as much. Like in the U.S., I would have never known that, but parents are shelling out thousands and thousands of dollars a month for their kid to become proficient, for themselves to advance their career. So I'd say that one thing that I really like is just the surplus of opportunities there are all around the world to teach. I like learning about other people. The more that I've met like other people, the more curious I kind of become over time. It's like, wow, that's so interesting. Like, you and me, for example, like we would have class like, I don't know, once a week on average, probably. And so you have a structured time to meet with this same person. And then you add that up over months and months and months. And it's like, wow, I've talked to Yuli for like 50 hours, or whatever it was. And that's just like a lot of time to spend with someone, and you really get to know them. And that, like, seeing the benefits of that relationship alongside learning and growth and confidence and laughter and all these amazing emotions is like so cool. And in addition to that, like just working with kids is awesome. Like it's that times 10, just in different ways. I currently work in a school here, and it's just a blast. It's just like so much fun. It's all about your mindset going in. So I don't know. These are probably very general answers, but I just simply don't know where to start. Like I can't imagine my life any differently. If I hadn't started teaching English, I would probably just be doing something that I'm less passionate about. Yeah.
Cool, Aidan. I know you, and I feel like this recipe was very from your heart. This is something amazing. Because if you ask me why I work with people to achieve goals, is because I feel very happy when a person can achieve something that he or she wants. It's like if you work for that, you can achieve that. I don't know the time, okay, because sometimes people want to now, right now, in 1 month, in 1 year, but I don't know the time. But I know that if you work for that, you can do it, okay. And if I have to share an example about, for example, our relationship, I think that the most important moment for me, I'm not sure if you remember, but you remember my travel to Italy.
Italy. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and I was very excited about that. And it was like, you can use this app, you can use this, blah, 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 blah. And okay, but the moment when I was in Italy and I have to use all my skills, all my tools, I was like, okay, this is the moment. And I love all the process that finally I'm here in Italy and I have all these tools. And I was like, when I returned, I was like, hey, then you have to know this, this, this. You remember that?
Yeah. We talked a lot about your trip.
Yeah, a
That was
lot,
your
a lot.
moment.
Yeah, and I think another point that I connect with the English is like, you have to do it because something that you love, not because you want to have a better job. it's not, this is not the match. You have to
Mhm.
do because you love a specific thing, right?
Yeah, I would say that everything is a trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
So there are pros and cons with everything. If
Mm-hmm.
you ask me, do you love teaching a month, 2 months, 1 year into ESL teaching, I would probably not say that I love teaching, but
Hmm.
it's a craft. And like anything, you get better and better with practice, with confidence. Certain things work, certain things don't work. And you just learn and you adapt, and whoever your students are, do it with you. So just keeping an open mind and knowing that home is right there. It's always going to be there. You can always go back. Um, but I believe that to be like more comfortable, you need to be a little bit uncomfortable first, and that's kind of something that I've embraced.
Cool. Why are you living in Vietnam now? What makes feel like home?
Yeah. So I did like a 2 month backpacking trip across Southeast Asia. Great place if anyone's looking to kind of solo travel for the first time. It was not my first solo travel, but it's just very safe and very cheap. So it's just a great place to start. Met a lot of travelers who this was like their first time out of the country. And I went to 4 countries: Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia. Um, I'm not going to sit here and say all 60 days are amazing. Like it's life. You eat, you sleep, you are
Mm-hmm.
tired, you get sick, you get food poisoning. Like it's life, and you're traveling and you're living in hostels and stuff. Um, but I just had some incredible experiences, and my favorite experiences was my time in Vietnam. It was my favorite country I went to on my trip, and I was like very surprised to see how many expats live in Hanoi. And it was attractive. I mean, this was before I moved to Chile, so it wasn't like, wow, I need to move here now. But when I was thinking about my next move, it was like I could see myself in Vietnam for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have to mention this because it's very
Yeah.
important. It's like sometimes we want to live, or we want to have a particular job, house, travel. Okay, but it's not this year. It's not in this
Mhm,
moment. Okay,
mhm,
but if you work, okay, and you prepare a plan, you can do it after. Because, for example, you were thinking that I have to move to Hanoi before Chile, right? But you was in Chile, and after you finally go back to Vietnam.
mhm.
Yeah. And okay, the communication always in Vietnam is in English, right?
Like there are many Vietnamese who speak English. Yes.
Yeah, okay. If I want to go there, for example, if we have people that wants to teach in English, how they can do it? What
Yeah,
is your?
I
Mhm,
know. There's actually a woman I met from Chile who's teaching here right now. Um,
mhm,
we were in touch before she came. Just had a lot of questions, like one does when you're moving halfway across the world.
mhm.
Um, your question was, how do you teach English if you would like to? Is that right?
Yeah, but more relation in Vietnam, for example.
Yeah. So a lot of places will. I mean, you'll need to speak good English. So whether you're a native English speaker, like
Mm-hmm.
basically like super easy. You've been speaking it your whole life. And for non-native speakers, maybe I'm not sure too much, but there's probably a credential that you'll need to show, like a score on a certain test. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not a person to ask as far as that process. But a great step, and a step that might just carry you to a job opportunity, is having what I mentioned earlier, a TEFL certificate. Um, this shows that you're proficient in teaching English as a second language,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it doesn't take very long to get. And relatively speaking, it's not too expensive. So it's a small investment in a bigger opportunity. So I would say that's probably worth looking into if you're thinking about it.
Okay, so let me know if you connect this. For example, first you have to search the information about the certification to teach in English. Second, you have to review what is the country that maybe you want to do it. That, and something that I have to mention is about the migration, the
Yeah.
migration states, you know, because
Right.
it's very different. For example, not sure if you know about Venezuelan, how what I need to go to Vietnam, for example. I didn't check before that conversation. I don't
Yeah.
know. I want to
Yes.
visit Hanoi. You know that I want to visit, but I don't know if I need something like Venezuela. I think yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Valid question. Partly answering your question is, do you need to get a job in advance, or can you get one on the ground in Vietnam? And the answer is both. I got a job before I went
Mm-hmm.
because there are advantages to that. When
Mm-hmm.
I came, I had a hotel paid for. I had a flight partially paid for, but it not initially. It'll be on at the completion of the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but plenty of people will get jobs on the ground here,
Mm-hmm.
just by posting on Facebook or networking or whatever it is. There's just such high demand.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then they'll do a visa run. So they'll come back on a new visa that'll be sponsored by their work. So I would say there's a lot of flexibility in that arena. At the end of the day, the jobs have positions to be filled. They have students who are eager to learn English,
Mm-hmm.
and they will accommodate teachers to fill those classrooms.
Yeah, I think that we are talking about English, but I have to do that question. But in other jobs opportunities, is there
You mean like if you want to do like business or something?
whatever?
I don't
Yeah,
know. Like I'm sure there are.
whatever no, because it's more open, but it is a lot open. But for example, um, not sure, maybe technology or something like that. For example,
Yeah,
how
I don't know. I'm sure. I'm sure there's jobs for that. I'm not sure about how easy it is. It's probably
Mhm.
not as easy as teaching English. Um, maybe the pay is higher. Maybe the pay is lower. I don't really know. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, it's okay. It's just Julie doing the equations.
Yeah, but I
But
mean, it's a good question to ask because I think that there are plenty of people who do want to travel, but
yeah,
maybe think that teaching isn't right for them. So they're like, well, what do I do?
yeah. Because for me, for example, I want to visit in terms of the tourists, so tourists,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
But maybe we have people that are watching here this and wants to do another activity. Not sure, you know. But in general, if you want to go and have a similar lifestyle, you have to review information. Maybe you can contact Aidan to have more clarity, maybe in the things that you can help, right? So, what do you think most people truly want today?
What do I think most people truly want?
Today.
I mean, I think everyone just wants to be happy, and I think that it's like a big philosophical question. I don't know, but I'll answer the best I can, which is I think that people want to be happy. They want to be having good days, and maybe they want to be working towards some goal.
Mm-hmm.
For me, like traveling is an investment of experiences. So like the more things that I do and people I meet and places I go, the more I can find the answer to that question. I
Mm-hmm.
think that if I had gone that other route, maybe going to law school and then studying and being in debt and then saving for a house and kind of going down that other road, um, maybe that's what I thought that I truly want, but I would not have gained the perspective that I've gained like traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I also just am planning on doing this for a while. So like, this isn't even at all the end. So I think it's just an ever evolving like answer of like what we want. Um, I do think that like some people travel and think that like they work for their like they put in 40, 50-hour weeks so that they can get this money to travel to go to these places. But when
Mm-hmm.
you go to those places, like you're still yourself, you still have your same, your ears are the same, your eyes are the same, your hair is the same, like everything's the same. You're on vacation. So this idea that like everything can just change when you cross a border and you're just living your best life. I have not found that to be true. But I think that that's kind of the beauty of it.
Yeah, this question is very personal. Everyone has a response, and there is no good, there is no bad. But for you, for example, happy, good days, travel for you is something very important. Okay, and this is your way to live. We have people that wants to study, that wants to have a family, that wants to have a house, whatever, and this is okay. Okay. But for me, for example, when I select this topic to have this episode together, was like, because building the life that you want. In your case, is teaching, traveling, and speaking new language. Okay. In my way is to doing exercises, okay, writing because I love to write, and go to the beach and have a good conversation with new people everyone every time that I have the opportunity. This is for me, this is the life that I want. And in the morning I was no yesterday I was like, I have time or years trying to doesn't work on Friday. Yeah, this is my idea. Doesn't work on Friday. People can think, well, but you are working now, you know, and like it's depend. It's depend because I love this conversation, this type of conversation, and but this is the life that I want to have. We have to work, we have to have money, but it's not only about the money or it's not only about the job. It's about more. What is really that you want. And if I have to say in general, I think that people wants to travel a lot. There are a lot of people that wants to travel, but there are people like me that we want to travel, but in general, I need to have information. In my case, I need to have information. I need to be like I feel confident about do it. I think that you, for example, you feel confident, but I think that you can do it more in the way, more in the process. Like,
Look more as I go.
yeah, you.
Yeah. Less knowledge before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
I think that maybe I wouldn't have thought that probably on my first, like with Korea, I wanted information. I had never lived outside the country. I had never been an adult. I mean, that was like that was right after college. Like this was my first time living alone, let alone in another country. So I definitely wanted information, but I would say, yeah, less so now.
Yeah. We have a lot of conversation about that. Confident with women are traveling or men are traveling. This is another conversation. This is another point, but yeah, we have some recommendations.
Yeah, there you go.
Sure. Okay, so Aidan, finally, how can people connect with you if they want to travel, if they want to learn English, or if they get inspired by your history?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is on my name on this podcast. Happy to. I mean, I'm pretty transparent about what could go well and what could go wrong, and what you're signing on to, and what possibilities are out there. I all I know is my experience and my experience of others. So, I would say to connect that way. Additionally, if you do follow my page, I will be starting a podcast in the fall, Northern Hemisphere fall. So that's in we'll call it September, October, which is basically just about a lot of the things we've talked about today. So I will be posting updates about that on my Instagram as well. So yeah, I would say that's probably the best way. And yeah, no question's a dumb question. People have, all these different experiences. And I think that being a sponge to other people's travels is really important. And you can find out what's out there and how people made it work and what challenges they faced. So I'm an open book.
Yeah. And yeah, obviously, if you have any question or you want to contact Aidan, you can ping me too because I have the contact of
There you
Aidan.
go.
So I am the best example of the things that you can do it with Aidan to learn English, because we have 45 minutes speaking and having fun
English is
together.
great.
So yeah, it's great. It's
Great.
amazing. Yeah. Additional, well, here we have the account of Aidan. Aidan will have the his podcast. I'm not sure if it's you alone or you have a partner in the podcast.
Well, it's kind of going to be me alone, but with like guests and stuff like that, kind of like yours.
Cool, perfect, perfect. I will love that. Well, this was the history of Met Aidan, and we have a lot to mention, and I want to have more time to connect with you, but we know the time. We are here in Chile morning, Hanoi is the night. If you want to connect with me, guys, you have my website, dementeagil.com. I have my podcast in Spotify, like Paz Interior, Éxito Exterior. We are in YouTube, in LinkedIn, and in Instagram, like Demente Agil. You can pin me, you know where I am. So I hope that you can achieve more goals in your life. But remember, please, that you don't need more motivation. You need a strategy. You need sure. You need to review information to have that. So thank you, Aidan, to stay here today. And I hope the next time maybe will be Hanoi.
That's true. We'll be eating banh mi's on the side of the street. It'll be great.
Okay, thank you, Aidan. Bye bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.